Scott Harris is the CEO of the Beacon Foundation. It's a Tasmanian-based national not-for-profit organisation, and they create or help create jobs for young people. Scott, hello.
Good morning.
Can you start by explaining how the Beacon Foundation actually works with high school students? What do you do?
Yeah, okay. So we've been operating now for 25 years, started in Tasmania, and our focus really has been in trying to get the greater community, in particular the business community, connecting into schools to really inspire and motivate young people to ensure that they go onto a positive pathway to further education, employment and or training. So really bringing in industry into the classroom, providing good role models for young people, helping educators to ensure that when young people go out the school gate, they're as best prepared as they possibly can be, successfully transition from school to work.
I've spoken to students that are involved in the program, and they can explain very well how the Beacon Foundation works. It seems to me that it's reaching out to those that you know to find opportunities, and we hear a lot that it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah, well, and that's really, I suppose, part of what Beacon is now doing with its job creation piece is that we tend to take for granted the networks that we all have. For many young people who are second, third and now fourth generation unemployed, those networks are quite sparse, as you could appreciate. So really what Beacon is trying to do now is trying to get those young people as prepared as they possibly can be to actually be able to get into employment of some shape or form. I mean, it's unacceptable in this country that a country that has served so many so well that we have second, third and now fourth generation unemployed. Now, we all have a role to play in ensuring that we address that. And breaking that cycle is tough, but it's a job worth doing and in long term.
How many schools are you involved with in southern Tasmania, Scott?
So we're all up in across Tasmania 13. So across Australia we're in 130 schools. And so from what has started in really trying to inspire and motivate kids, we have now moved, as you said in your opening, to this job creation piece and really focused on how we can get a young person into their first job. And if we all think back to when we were first looking for our first job, someone took a punt on us and said, okay, I'll give you a chance. And really what Beacon is all about now is trying to get employers to take a chance on a young person, give them their first start to get them on their way. And we've been lucky enough to secure some funding from the federal government through the support of Andrew Wilkie to see 22 Tasmanians last young Tasmanians go into employment, 140 across the country go into employment. And many of these young people from very disadvantaged communities, and some of them, second, third and fourth generation unemployed. And it was significant for us to see that in so many of those communities where I sense that perhaps the schools, the families had given up. They'd given up hope. And then all of a sudden there was an opportunity, a real opportunity, and they saw their young person, their son or their daughter, go into employment. And all of a sudden, within the school, within that community, within that family, there was a real sense of hope that there is light at the end of the tunnel, and there are employment opportunities for my family, for my young people.
I was struck when I was reading through your report last night, a comment from a student when the Beacon Foundation asked them to reach out to their networks to try and find employment. And the girl turned to her mother and said, do we know anyone that works?
It's staggering. I remember hearing a comment like that the first time in Adelaide where a young person was asked to go and find work experience. And I was in the room with the careers teacher, and the young person turned around and said, Miss, there's no one in my family who works. There's no one in my street who works. How am I supposed to do that? And that's a challenge that we all have to address unfortunately, in this country, to break that cycle. We're losing a generation of potential workers that are lost, and we need to do something to ensure the next generation and the generation after that grow up with the dignity and self-respect of a real job, and I think that's vital.
Now, you've placed 22 Tasmanians out of 141 jobs that were filled last year. Phase 2 is about to be rolled out. How many students have you got? Is it 200 now? You need to find 200 jobs?
200 jobs across the country, and we're really, I suppose, looking for employers who are, wanting to put on young people. This is a very structured process. It's not just a simple transaction. It's about, firstly, getting industry into the classroom and really showcasing what they do, and we do that in quite an innovative way. We've been running what we call business blackboards, where young people sitting in a classroom doing maths, English and science, maths in particular, probably thinking, where am I ever going to use this? To actually get industry to come in and show them where they apply maths, where they apply English, or where science is applied in their business. It assists in bringing it to life for those young people, and I suppose showing them the relevance of where maths is applied or science is applied, more generally. And so it's a very structured process to ensure the best possible match for the employer and the best possible match for the young person. And that's a vital piece of what we're doing. Beacon is fortunate to have trusted relationships with schools. We want the best possible outcome for that young person, and we want to see them, I suppose, we're in a situation where many young people are heading for potential tax takers. We want to make sure that they become taxpayers, and that's vital to our work.
I've not heard that term before, a tax taker. Scott Harris, CEO of the Beacon Foundation. News announced yesterday of more jobs being lost in northern Tasmania, and the unemployment rate is at, I think it's 8.1% in Tassie. It's at its highest ever. What does this mean for young people that are about to go out and look for a job? Those figures, do they impact you or make young people feel more helpless?
Yeah, well, I think it's concerning, and I think one of the things that we need to do as a state is we need to set a vision for this state, and we need to be clear that Tasmania is open for business, and I think we all have a role to play in lifting. We live in a state that has unbelievable potential. And we need to realise that potential, and we need to have a clear vision set. As a parent myself, I often think about and reflect, well, will my children's future be here in Tasmania? Or scary as it is, it may well be that they'll have to go interstate for employment. Now, from my perspective, I think that there's great opportunities here, but we need to do more as a state in realising those. If you thought 10 years ago that the most visited attraction in Tasmania was going to be a museum of modern art, you'd laugh. But if you look at what's happened now,
it's amazing.
In terms of where that's at, and the number of visitors that come to this state and visit Mona, it's quite incredible. So it's that vision that we need to ensure, is ongoing in the state.
So before I let you go, Scott, who are the biggest employers of young Tasmanians? Is it fast food outlets? Where are these jobs coming up?
Well, there's certainly, we've had great traction from hospitality and tourism. The Tasmanian Hospitality Association have been really supportive of what we're doing. There's opportunities in construction, manufacturing, transport and logistics, community services. Beacon has started working with Tassal. They're an employer of a lot of people. It's a thriving industry.
A couple of SMSs have come through while I've been speaking to you on 0438 922 936. Ad says we love to blame unemployment on the individual. Why not blame society, parliament, capitalism and greed? And S says nepotism breeds mediocrity, and it's absolutely